Okay, so in the second part of this lecture, we will discuss about the clutch and gears. Okay, so in case of clutch, we will discuss about how you will calculate the common angular velocity, loss in kinetic energy for the clutch, and then time until slipping ceases, and then angle of slip. So we will discuss these topics in as part of the clutch topic, and we will also discuss gears. So in gears, we will briefly discuss about the classification of gears or the type of gears, and then we will discuss about the terminology of spur gear. So for example, pitch circle and circular pitch, and then we will discuss about the simple gear drive, and then we will discuss about the different type of gear trains. So simple gear trains, compound gear trains, and EP cyclic gear train. Okay, so the first topic is about the clutch. So the first thing is what is clutch and why we need a clutch. So a clutch is a machine member used to connect a driving shaft to a driven shaft, as you can see in this case here, so that the so that the driven shaft may be started or stopped at will without stopping the driving shaft. So as you can see in this case here, this is your uh, a driving shaft, and this is the driven shaft. So this is coming from your engine, from the crankshaft, and this is going to your gearbox. Uh, so the the main idea of the clutch is to engage and disengage the this shaft from this shaft here without stopping the whole engine here. The use of clutch is mostly found in automobiles. In order to change the gear, it is required that the driven shaft should stop. So this is the driven shaft. You need to stop it, but you don't want to stop the whole engine. But the engine should continue to run. So it's therefore necessary that the driven shaft should be disengaged from the driving shaft, and the engagement and disengagement of the shaft is obtained by means of the clutch, which is operated by a pedal. In so as you can see, this is the pedal that you operate in a car, uh, and this will engage and disengage uh, the these two shop together. Okay, so this is just the a very simple representation of of a clutch. So as you can see in this case that we have two flywheels. One is flywheel one, which is this flywheel here. So we will call this flywheel one, and this we will call this flywheel two. So this is our flywheel 2. The moment of inertia of this flywheel is I1. The moment of inertia of this flywheel is I2. And this is the clutch, which is between the two flywheels. And as you can see, the first flywheel is rotating at angular velocity omega 1. And the angular velocity of the flywheel 2 is 0. So you can say that in this specific case, omega 2 is 0 here. So if you consider two flywheels, I1 and I2, connected together by a clutch, which is this clutch here, and which is initially disengaged. So if the flywheel, if this clutch is disengaged, so these are just two friction wheels. So if you connect these together, there will be some sort of friction, and the torque will be transmitted from this part to this part here. Okay, so if this is disengaged, so this means that no torque will be transmitted to this part here. But if you engage these together, so if you connect these two friction wheels together, so then obviously then uh, the torque will transmit to this part also. So initially it is disengaged, and there is no torque transmitted between the two flywheels. And now if the clutch is engaged when I1 is rotating at omega 1 and I2 is stationary, so the initial velocity of this one was 0, then the clutch will slip until the two flywheel reaches a common angular velocity omega. So when you uh, connect these two friction wheels together, so then what will happen to the velocity? So if you want to draw the velocity with respect to time, so this is our time here, and this is our angular velocity. You can call it omega. So for the flywheel one, the angular velocity is 0, which is this point here, and for the flywheel Okay, for the 1, this was the initial angular velocity omega 1, and omega 2 was 0 here, which was 0. So what will happen that if you engage the engage this friction wheels together, so the omega 2 will increase, something like this, and omega 1 will decrease, something like this. So this is a decrease of the omega 1, and omega 2 will increase. And then finally, at this point, then there will be, you will achieve a common angular velocity omega. Then the whole thing together will just rotate it uh, 1 omega here. So this we will call it omega. And here moment of inertia is I1, and here the moment of inertia is I2. So this is how the velocity diagram will look like. And this is the time which is also important here. So at this time here, which you can call it T dash, so this is what we can call it the end of slip. So up to this point, the when you connect these two friction wheel together, there will be a slip between the two. But at one point, um, the slip will end, and then the two wheels will rotate at one velocity omega. And at this instant, the angular velocity is omega, and the moment of inertia will become I1 plus I2. Okay, so okay, now as you know that in this case, because there is no external forces and there is no external torques, so the angular momentum of the system will be conserved. So we know that the initial angular momentum, so L1 should be equal to L2, because there is no external force here on the whole system. So the L1 should equal to L2. Now in this case, because the I1 omega 1 and plus I2 omega 2 is equal to the final one, which is after the slippage, was omega, and then the combined moment of inertia was I1 plus I2. But we know that the initial angular momentum of the flywheel 2 is 0, because omega is 0. So this part is 0. So what we have here is I1 omega 1 is equal to omega I1 plus I2. So from here we can calculate omega, which will become uh, I1 omega 1 and divided by I1 plus I2. So this is the equation for this omega. So if you know the omega 1, and if you know the moment of inertia of the two flywheels, you can calculate this common angular velocity of the system here. Okay, so here we are also want to calculate the kinetic energy due to the clutch engagement. So the kinetic energy to calculate is kinetic energy, or loss in kinetic energy, is the initial kinetic energy of the system. So kinetic energy 1 minus kinetic energy 2. So the initial kinetic energy, because only the flywheel 1 is rotating, so it will become half I1 omega 1 square. And finally, the final kinetic energy will be here. So it will be half, and the final moment of inertia is I1 plus I2, and the angular velocity is omega. So omega square here. So this is the equation for the kinetic energy loss here. Okay, so now in this case, because we know the value of omega, which is this value here. So if you put the value of omega here, so kinetic energy loss, so half I1, and then you put omega from this equation here, so which will become I1 omega 1 and then I1 plus I2. And this will be square here because omega is square. So if you just simplify this equation here, so you can calculate the kinetic energy loss. It become half I1 I2 and then I1 plus I2 and omega 1 square. So this is the another equation that we derive here for the kinetic energy loss, which is half I1 I2 I1 I2 and then omega 1 square. So in this case, again, if you know the omega 1 and if you know the moment of inertia, you can calculate the kinetic energy loss. So you don't need to worry about this omega here because we just replace omega by this equation here. Okay, so another important point here is that we want to calculate this t dash, which is the time at which this slippage will end. So if the torque which the clutch can transmit is limited to t, so then the slipping will occur when the torque exceed t, and thus the during slipping the clutch transmit a constant torque. Hence, considering the impulse momentum relationship applied to I2 during a slip, we can write. So in this case, if you consider I2 here, which is the so this is this one. This was our diagram here. This is our I1 and this is our I2 here. So now if you only consider I2 here and you apply the impulse momentum equation here. So this is the impulse momentum equation, that the angular impulse exerted by I1 and I2 is equal to the change of angular momentum of I2. We know that this was our equation for the uh, impulse momentum equation. So which was, in this case, we can write this L1 and plus 0 to t summation of all the torques dt equal to L2. So this is our the impulse momentum equation for the angular angular motion or rotational motion. So if we apply this equation to the I2 here, so the body 2. So initially the momentum was 0. So because the initial speed or velocity was 0, so 0 and plus, and because if we engage this, so then the uh, the torque that we can transmit is just t here, and this is applied from 0 to t dash because during this time there was slipping, and this was the torque that you are applying on the I2 here. So you will say that it's t and dt and equal to the final angular momentum of the I2, so which will become I2, and the final velocity is omega. So now from this equation, because we know that the time here is torque is constant, so it will become just t dash, and this will become I2 omega. So from here we can calculate t dash, which will become I2 omega divided by t, which is the torque. So so this torque here uh, is the, you can say that this t dash is the time when slipping So when slipping ceases, so this is the T dash, which is this time here. Okay, now we are interested to calculate uh, the work done uh, in this slippage here, and for this reason we want to calculate this the angular displacement of I1 relative to I2 during slipping, and we can write this theta1 minus theta2, and we know that theta1 is the angular displacement here, and which you can calculate by using the area of this diagram here. Uh, so in this case, if you want to calculate theta1, so theta1 is just 0 to t, which is this time here, or t dash, and this will be just equal to, so omega 1 t dt. So if you just integrate this omega 1, which is changing with respect to time, with respect to time, so you will get this theta 1, which in another word is this whole area, this whole area under the curve, this whole area. And similarly, theta 2 will be again 0 to t omega 2t dt, which will be again this triangle here. So then if you want to calculate, then theta 1 minus theta 2. So theta 1 minus theta 2 is just the green area in figure, and which is just a triangle. So then we can calculate the area of this triangle here, and you can say that it is just half omega 1 and half omega 1, and then the time here is you can call it t dash here. So half omega 1 t dash. So this is the theta 1 minus theta 2. Okay, so we can now calculate the work done against the friction during the slipping, which should be identical to the loss of kinetic energy, which is we already calculated. So the work done against the friction is just t times the angle of slip here. So so it's just the same, is that work is equal to force times distance in the linear case. So in the angular case, it's t time angle, which is again is the displacement. Okay, so in this case, if you want to calculate the work done, so it will become t, and the angle of slip, which we calculate here in the previous slide, was omega 1 t dash divided by 2, which was this green area and this triangle here, which is just the area, this whole area, and minus this area here, you will get this green area, which is just omega 1 t dash divided by 2. Okay, so now in this case, if we replace this t dash, which is this equation here, so it will become t omega 1 by 2, and it will become I2 omega divided by t here. We will get this equation, and again we have t here and t here, so we can what we have is I2 omega 1 omega and divided by 2. Now if you put the value of omega here, which we know is this equation here, so then the work done against friction will become equal to I1 I2 divided by I1 plus I2, and then will become omega 1 square divided by 2. So this is just again the same equation as that we derived in the previous case. So you can say that which is similar to kinetic energy loss. This means that the work that you are doing or the system is doing to overcome the friction is just the loss in kinetic energy here. Okay, so now again we want to solve some numerical example here. So again, this numerical example is taken from your tutorial sheet. So flywheel A and B, which is this flywheel and this flywheel here, of moment of inertia IA is 3 and IB is 2 kilogram meter square, are mounted on a light and a rigid coaxial shaft, which can be coupled by engaging the friction clutch C here, as shown in the figure. Before the clutch is engaged, the flywheel rotate in the same direction with angular velocities. Omega A1 is 600 and omega B1 is 300. So the omega initial velocity here is 600 and here is 3000. Okay, so what you need to calculate, derive a symbolic expression for their common angular velocity omega. So in the part A, what you need to calculate is omega and determine the change, if any, in the system total kinetic energy between the clutch engagement and the end up slippage. So what you need to calculate here is the in part B is you need to calculate the loss in kinetic energy. So kinetic energy loss. And in part C, you need to calculate if the clutch can transmit a maximum torque of 500. So torque is given. Our maximum torque is 500 Newton meter. Determine the minimum time after engagement for the slippage to end. So what you need to calculate is a T dash here. Okay, so to solve this problem in part A, what we will do, because again we will use the law of conservation of momentum here. So L1 is equal to L2. So L1 is IA omega A plus IB omega B1 is equal to omega. So the finally, because the two flywheel will engage, so the final angular velocity is omega, and this is the final moment of inertia of the system, and the initial is obviously IA omega A1 and IB omega B1, and in this case, because both omegas are not zero, so you cannot make omega be zero here, so you will have two values here. Now from here you can calculate omega, which will become equal to IA omega A1 plus IB omega B1 and divided by IA plus IB here. This is the equation that we derive for the common angular velocity here. And if you just put the values, because we know the values, this is one of the unknown here. But now determine the value of W for given data. So we also need to calculate, this is for the given data. So we are given IA, which is 3, and we are given this 600, and we are given IB, which is 200, and this is 3000. And then you have IA plus IB, which is 3 plus 2, so which you will get is 1560 RPM. So this is the common angular velocity in this case here. And now in part B, what you need to calculate is the loss in kinetic energy. So kinetic energy loss, so which will become again the initial kinetic energy, so half. And you can say that IA omega A1 square plus IB omega B1 square. So this is the initial kinetic energy minus the final kinetic energy, which is IA plus IB and omega square. So in this case, if you just again put the values here, but you will need to change the omega into omega A1 is 600 into 2 pi divided by 60 to change this to radian per second, so which will become 62.33 radian per second. And omega B1 is again 3000, 2 pi divided by 60, which will become 314.16 radian per second. And omega will become 1560. and again you multiply with 2 pi by 60 to change this to radian per second, which will become 163.36 radian per second. So we have these values here, so you just need to put the values. So kinetic energy loss, so it will become just half, and IA is obviously 3, and velocity is 62.33 square, and then 2 and then 314.16 square, and minus 2 plus 3, so IA plus IB and omega square, which is 163.36. Okay, so from here what we will get is 37899 joule, or you can say that it is 37.9 kilojoule. Okay, and finally what you need to calculate is this T dash. So determine the minimum time after engagement for slippage to end. So we know that that if you consider any of the wheel here, if you consider this flywheel here and you apply the impulse momentum relation, so if you use impulse momentum relation, so it is just impulse is equal to change in momentum, or simply is that so L1 and plus 0 to T dash T dt equal to L2. So this was the impulse momentum equation here. So in this case, what we have here, so we have T is constant, so this will become just T times T dash, and then L2 minus L1. So L2 here is the final momentum. So the final momentum here is uh, and obviously you will apply this to a one specific wheel here. So you can apply this to wheel 1 or wheel 2. So if we apply this to wheel 1, so we will say that for wheel 1 or A, so for wheel 1 the initial okay, so initial angular velocity was omega, sorry, to L2 is omega minus omega 1 or A1. This is the equation. So now in this case, obviously you know everything. So from here you can calculate T dash, which is IA, which is 3, and the final angular velocity was 163.36, and omega A1 was 62.33, and divided by 500. So the T was given here. So from here you can calculate the time. So it will become 0.6 second here.